Hey everyone, my name is George, and today I'm going to show you how to set up PureChart locally for testing. So the first thing you're going to do is to make sure that you have the correct version of Ruby and Ruby on Rails installed. If you're using a Mac, you'll already have a version ready to go, but it's going to be a little too old. It'll probably be something like 2.7 point something. You're going to want to use something called RVM, which stands for Ruby Version Manager, to install something a little newer. I'm using version 3.0 on this computer, but I think the newest one is like 3.2 point something, so as long as you have something along those lines, you should be good to go. You also want to make sure that you install Rails. My version is 7.0.8, so something along those lines should be just fine. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to go to PureChart/PureChart and clone it onto your computer. Easiest way to do that is to copy this URL to the clipboard. Then in your terminal, go to the directory you're going to be working in. I'm going to be working in desktop/codelab/PureChart. Git clone, paste that URL, and in a few moments, it should grab a copy and stick it onto my computer. If we open this in Finder, you'll see that it created this folder and it has all the stuff from here. Next thing I'm going to do is to create a small Ruby on Rails project where I'm going to be using and testing whatever charts I end up creating. So this is a very good starter guide. If you're not familiar with Ruby on Rails, or maybe you want a refresh and you've used it before, this is a very, very good resource. They also go through how to install Ruby, SQLite 3, Rails, and so on. So we're going to use this command here to create a new Rails application called blog. We're going to do it in the same directory, PureChart. And that should create it. Now I'm going to be using VS Code. You don't have to use VS Code. You can use anything you'd like. You can use Vim, you can use Sublime, whatever floats your boat, but I prefer VS Code, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to cd into blog, and then I'm going to open it. Oh, I thought that would work. Never mind then. I guess I'll just do it like this. The good old-fashioned way, drag and drop. Okay, so here we are. We are now in our project, and let's go ahead and run this real quick. So if you type this command, bin/Rails server, you might be able to get away with just writing Rails server. It should load it up on this local URL here. So if we open that in the web browser, we'll see this default page. That's good. Now we want to add our gem. The way gems work in Ruby on Rails is you stick them all into your gem file. If you're coming from Node.js development, you can think of this as your package.json. So somewhere here, doesn't really matter where, we'll type in gem PureChart. But by default, this is going to grab it from Ruby gems, and Ruby gems is like, again, NPM, but for Ruby. So we're going to actually want to specify our local path. And in our case, it's up one directory and then PureChart. And what I mean by that is if we go back here, so right now we're inside a blog. If we go up one level and then into PureChart, this is our gem. Okay? Now you have to run bundle install to install this gem. And now we can run bin/Rails server. Reload the page and everything still works. Great. Now what we're going to do is to create a new page. We'll call it something like dashboard, and we're going to stick all of our charts in here when we're working on them. So I'll go back to this to the starter guide, and I'm going to use this command right here. Ruby on Rails has a lot of different generator commands for all kinds of different things. There's a very good website, which I'm going to link down in the description. I believe it's called Rails Generator, Rails G. It has a lot of different commands here that you can look at and customize. It explains how they work. So don't worry, you don't have to keep these at the top of your head. No one expects you to do that. There are quite a few of them. So we're going to go ahead and copy this one. I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to change this from articles to dashboard. Now this is going to create a few things. It's going to create our dashboard controller. It's going to create our dashboard view. Specifically, it's going to create the view or the layout that corresponds to the index method that was created in the controller. And it's also going to create a helper. Ruby on Rails uses the MVC or the Model View Controller scheme for software engineering. So if you're not familiar with the MVC layout, I would definitely recommend looking into that. And I will also link maybe one or two good resources in the description for you to figure out how that works. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. So we are missing one thing. In our generator, we mentioned this flag here, skip routes, which means it's not going to add this route to our project. So we have to do that ourselves because we specified it in the generator command. So what we have to do is we have to go to config routes.rb, and in here we're going to say that get request to dashboard should go to dashboard and the index method. That looks good. So now we have our route. If we go to app, all of our controllers are in here. So here's our dashboard controller. Right now it's not going to do anything, but this is where you would basically grab all the data you're going to use. And the layout is going to be under view, dashboard, index.html.erb. Nothing serious here right now. So let's run bin/rails server again to restart it. Let's go back. Right now we don't see anything, but if we go to dashboard, we'll see the dashboard we just created. So that's all fun, but let's actually generate a chart and stick it into our page. So first we're going to define some data that we want to display. And if you go to the documentation site, this example is actually wrong. I'm not sure what happened here. There's a controller inside of a controller. That's not right. Pretend that this outer one or this inner one doesn't exist. You're interested in this bit here. And this is also actually a little outdated. I updated a few things. So this is not the most recent, but hopefully by the time you watch this, this will be updated. So instead, I'm going to copy an example from the PureChart homepage, which is also available in the GitHub organization PureChart. So you can look at it right here. Great thing about Ruby on Rails is the file structure is always the same, so you know where to look if you want to get controller code. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it into my controller here. I'm going to clean up the indentation. I think that's right. I'm not sure why this is so far out. Not that it matters, but I want it to look nice. Yeah, it's like the indentation is doubled here for some reason. Interesting. Okay, that should do it. Let's reload our pages to make sure we didn't break anything. We did not. Okay, and now for the exciting part, we're going to actually load in our chart. And the way that PureChart works is it provides you with a bunch of what we call helpers. A helper is basically like a function that you can call, and it's going to and it can generate some HTML. It can render some HTML for you. So I'm going to copy that and paste it into here. This specifies that we're using a dark theme, but this dark theme only exists in this project. So if I try to run this, it's probably going to complain that I can't find it, just like it should. Make sure this file exists in your app/PureChart directory. We're not going to bother with that for now. We want the light theme anyways, which is the default. So I'm going to delete that, reload, and now we have a beautiful chart.